Hi, my name is Cal Jamerson. I'm the Produce Safety Associate with Kansas State University Research and Extension. Today we're going to be talking about scouting fields for wildlife and potential contaminants and the steps you should take as a grower in response. The first thing we're going to talk about is supplies. When you're scouting your field for feces or potential contaminants, the basics are a bucket for getting them out of the field, a shovel, and I also like the trowels for smaller contaminants. Also, you want to have flags, and we're going to go over this in greater detail after we scout the field and drop the flags. A note on color coordinating, you'll notice the bucket is black, the shovel is black with black tape on it, the trowel is black with black tape on it. You can pick any color you want. Red's pretty common when you're dealing with contaminants. The reason you want to have a dedicated color when dealing with this is so you don't have cross-contamination with your post-harvest harvesting equipment versus stuff you're getting contaminants and feces out of the field in. When you're doing field scouting, I would encourage using a two-flag system. The red being for when a feces or contaminant is present, and a yellow being if you see heavy signs of tracks, feeding, rooting, where there's not actually a contaminant, but you want your harvesters to be aware that there could be a potential contaminant nearby. In this walkthrough, I noticed bird feces on the plastic, not on the produce itself. So when I scout the field, I go through and drop all my flags, and then I come back for the removal cleanup. In this scenario, when it's not on the produce or the plant, what I do is I would use a wet one or Clorox wipe away from the plant, get it off the plastic, check the surrounding area, know what my weather's been the past few days, and then once that contaminant's been removed, I'm going to switch to a yellow flag. The reason being is I still want my harvesters to know in this area there was a contaminant, to be extra cautious when they're harvesting. You do not have to do a two-flag system. It's just something I encourage. Another example we gave in the previous recording is when there was feces outside of the bed, I dropped the red flag, then when we remove it, the weather was fine, there was no heavy rain, no heavy wind. So in that case, after I remove that feces from the field, I'm going to switch to a yellow flag so the harvesters know everything in there can still be harvested, just be extra cautious at that point.
I'm Patrick Byers, Horticulture Field Specialist with University of Missouri Extension. Well, we've identified evidence of animal egress in the produce field. What do we do now? Well, the first step, of course, is to do a good thorough walkthrough in advance of harvest and to mark any physical evidence of egress. It's also important to make sure that everyone who is going to be contacting produce, particularly during harvest, is trained on what to look for. The more eyes you have on the situation, the more effective will be your pre-harvest inspection. So once you've identified feces in the field, then it's important, obviously, to mark that with a distinctive flag, and then to determine what's called the buffer zone, and that's the area around the feces where there could be potential contamination. Now, what should that buffer zone be? Well, the guidance that we have is it could be anywhere from 0 to 25 feet, and that's quite a range. Some of the things to take into consideration, first of all, the characteristics of the feces themselves. Are they loose and watery? Is it likely that there was a splat factor? Could it have moved beyond where you physically see it? What has the weather been like? Has it rained since the feces were deposited? Is the wind blowing where there could have been wind blown movement of the feces? These are all things to consider when determining what the buffer zone should be.